What's up my friends, welcome back. So today we have another 3D printer review, and this will be a Delta type 3D printer, and as you can see this printer is huge. This is the Anycubic Predator. So in this video we'll make an unbox, then I will assemble the printer very fast and we'll make some print tests. And as you can see here I've tested PLA, of course ABS and also PETG, nylon and also some flexible, and I will show you the results in this video. Right now the price of this printer is around 350 euros, and I think that in this price range this is a good printer. So if you want to buy this printer, watch this video and I hope that you'll make a general idea. So this is the Anycubic Predator, so let's get started. What's up my friends, welcome back. Let's first see the main specs of the printer. The body is quite huge, around 1 meter height and half meter in diameter. Basically all the parts are made of aluminum extrusion and that gives us a very stable and stiff frame. The printing volume is 370 mm diameter and a height of 455 mm. The default printing nozzle is of 0.4 mm, but you can easily change that. To control this printer we have a very responsive touchscreen. Usually these screens have some trouble detecting my finger, but I have to say this one is very responsive and also bright and sharp, and you can control everything from here. The interface is very easy to use, so don't worry. This screen is placed on the top right corner, so don't place the printer too high, otherwise you won't be able to reach the screen. The spool of the material is placed on top of the printer and the filament goes to the extruder through this Teflon tube. You can print from the SD card or the USB connection, and we have the input for that on the right top side as well, below the spool holder. The printer has a filament detector, but also automatic bed level, and that will store the bed error on the EEPROM of the printer, so once you calibrate it you won't have any other problems. On the other side of the printer we have the AC input with a safety fuse and also the on and off switch. Inside of the top part we have the electronics, with a 24 volts power supply and the controller board. The drivers for these step motors are already soldered on the PCB, so we can change those. But at least we have a huge external MOSFET for the heated bed and the nozzle block. We also have an SD card reader connected to the board, and we can see the 3 NEMA 17 step motors. Okay, the extruder is the Titan extruder, and as I said before, I really like this type of extruders. The printing surface on the bed is the Ultra Base, which will shrink when it gets cool, so we can easily remove the prints. The printer can print PLA, PETG, ABS, nylon, flexible and maybe even more materials. It could reach temperatures up to 100 degrees for the heated bed and 250 degrees for the nozzle, and it could print quite fast compared with other printers. Okay, now let's do a quick unbox and see what we have inside, and then we mount the printer really fast. We make a few prints and test different materials, and I will give you my final thoughts on this printer. As you can see the box can barely fit on my workshop table and weighs around 21 kilograms. Well, inside of this huge box we have the printer wrapped in some plastic foam for protection during shipping. On the first layer, as you can see, we have the top and the bottom of the printer. We also have the manual, the power cables and 1 kilogram of PLA material. I take out the next layer from the box, and now we have the 3 pilers for the printer and some more bags with screws, cables, the spool holder and so on. So let's see very fast all that we get with this kit. First we have the manual with color photos and all the steps and instructions. Then we have 1 kilogram spool of white PLA. We also get a print removal and the nozzle cleaner. Now here we have a bag with the metal spool holder. Then we have the power and the USB cables. Here we have a spare part for the nozzle, the filament detector and the calibrating sensor. Now we have gloves, some tools and screws, and finally the SD card that we can use with the printer. Separately we have the filament extruder and the nozzle block that we have to install later. And of course the top and bottom parts of the printer and the 3 pillars. That's all we get with this kit. Mounting this printer is very easy and fast, but if you don't have enough strength, you might need some help. The entire frame is made out of extruded aluminum, and it is quite big, and for some people this could be quite heavy. Anyway, I've mounted this in around 30 minutes following the instruction in the manual. First, we have to screw the printer legs on the top part of the printer, which right now it's upside down. Then on the other side we add the printing bed part. Once we tight those screws, we can flip the printer. Now we place the nozzle block on those 3 arms of the printer with some 3mm screws. The next part is the extruder, just above the nozzle block, fixed in place with some springs. We place the filament detector on top, make the connections with all the cables to the extruder, the heaters and so on, and finally we add the spool holder on top of the printer. And now the printer is ready. I follow the instructions and calibrate the bed. We need to add the touch sensor and follow the instructions. After that I make the first print test to see if the bed is leveled. And yes, we are good to go, so let's start with some prints. First, as always, I print this benchy file with white PLA material that I received with the kit. Now this is not the best benchy ever, but I think that for the first print we have good results. There was a little bit of stringing, but we can remove those very easy and the print turned out okay. Next, again with PLA material of gold color, I've printed this printer test file. As you can see, up to around 60 degrees we have a good print, but above that we might have some support problems. And on the other side with lower angle steps it was able to go even higher. Also the bridges turned out okay. The small pillars as well, and there was very little stringing between the pillars. The front text is quite visible, but the small text on top is very bad because these are very small letters. Okay, for the next print I've also tried some flexible filament and printed this anti-vibration part for my electric scooter, and as you can see we can print flexible as well with this printer. You just have to reduce the speed down to 20% or so, but at least we can do flexible as well. Okay, the next print was using grey PETG, and to test if PETG works, I first printed this very small cap that I needed for a part that broke from my bedroom. Once I knew that PETG was good to go, I've made this model of Thanos with the same grey material. We have some errors below his chin because I didn't use any support, but the rest of the print looks quite good. We can see really good details on his face. This was printed at higher speed than the other models. Now I've made a print with ABS. At first the print didn't stick to the printing bed, even we reached quite easy 95 degrees for the bed and 240 degrees for the nozzle. We have 2 big external MOSFETs for that and it's quite easy to get high temperatures. But for ABS I had to place some painter's tape so the print will stick to the bed. Now even if the print wrapped at the bottom as usually ABS does, the rest of the layers were quite good. Knowing that printing with ABS could be quite tricky, I can say this printer works okay with ABS as well. The next print was with nylon and I've printed this castle tower. The uneven layers at the bottom were because of bad slicing and not because of the printer. The rest of the print also turned out okay with good details. I've printed this at a little bit higher temperature for nylon, but the printer had no problems with that. Finally, I've made some more PLA material tests and also tweaked a little bit the G-code. First I've made this happy owl with gold PLA material. The results are quite good. We have no stringing, very good layers and decent details for 0.4mm nozzle. We can sometimes see some shadowing effect on some prints. I've also printed this skull with PLA material and the results are good as well. We have good details and layers. The infill is also good, and even the tricky parts were printed okay. With PLA material the print never moved from the printing bed, only with ABS I had problems. Okay, finally I've made this part that I need for a future project with white PLA material, and this print turned out very good. Again we have good layers and good details. So print quality on this huge Delta printer is pretty good. So guys, we have seen the main specs of the printer, the unbox and also a few prints. But for now, for only 355 euros, you get this huge printer, very good prints, touchscreen control, fast printing, metal and very stable frame and so on. I think that compared with other 3D printers in this price range, it's totally worth the price. You could also add some TL smoothers to remove those ghosting effects for only a few more dollars. Now this printer is very big and you might see that as a problem. I mean, you need a very big table and a lot of space for this, but at least you can print very big files with it. I'm not a fan of the ultra base texture on the bed neither. I prefer to use the painter's tape so the prints will stick very well to the bed. But in overall, I really enjoyed mounting and testing this printer, and for me the big size is useful because I'm planning some quite large prints. I like the print quality, and I think that should be the most important spec for any printer, the final output. So guys, this was my review and test. I will post more details on Instagram and my website, so stay tuned for that. See the links below if you want to buy this printer, and I hope that you now have a general idea of this kit. So thanks again and see you later guys.